everybody, it's the Van Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we have a very special guest. Let me introduce you to Kari and Holt. Say hello, Kari Ann.
Hello, Kari Ann.
Jeez. All right. We're very excited to learn everything about you that we can. So let's just start off with the easy stuff. Tell us where you're from.
I am from Austin, Texas right now, but I did grow up in Florida when I was a kid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, so are there things that you like about Florida versus things that you like about Austin?
I really liked, when I was a kid, I used to count alligators in the retention pond.
Ooh.
We would ride our bikes to the edge of the neighborhood, and that was really fun. I liked the freedom, I liked the beach, but Austin, Texas you really can't beat that. It's a great place, it's so fun, everyone's so nice and weird, it's perfect.
Yeah, less alligators too.
Yeah, fewer alligators for sure.
So do you have any pets at home?
I do. I have these two dogs, and their names are Bea and Arthur. Probably most of you are too young to know who that is, but I can scream "Bea, Arthur" into the backyard, which is
and she
delightful.
Goes, "Thank you for being a friend."
One day we're gonna get a cat, and we're gonna name it Maud. I'm so excited. Yeah.
That's so great. All right, so Kari Ann, you're an author, and
Yes.
that's why we brought you on the show. And so we want to learn a little bit about that. So first off, tell us, how long ago did you start writing?
So I started writing when I was like 5th grade. I wrote a little book and I illustrated it, and it was called Me and Marty, and it was about an alien.
Ooh.
And I brought it to the librarian in school and was like, hey, can you put this with all the rest of the other books? And she did. She put it in the stack so kids could check it out.
Are you
which
kidding?
was really, really cool. Mrs. McLeod, 5th grade. And then I sort of forgot that I wanted to be a writer for a long time. I studied art. And then my junior year of college, I took a playwriting class and I fell in love with it. And so I was like, how can I be a writer and have a job, like make money and, buy things? So I went into advertising, which was horrible. And I said, how can I keep writing and make money as a job? And I started writing books from there, and I just worked and worked and worked to write books people wanted to read. And now here we are.
Here we are. And I'm wondering, because you write in both prose and verse, did you find that starting off with playwriting kind of led naturally into writing in verse?
I think maybe a little bit. I really like dialogue, and I like having to convey big ideas in small bits and pieces. I love writing haiku. I did that for a while just for fun. And yeah, I feel like poetry is a really great way to tell a story emotion first instead of detail first, and then your reader gets to bring a bunch of details. Like, my readers can read my books, and I never describe like what a kid's bedroom is going to look like in verse because I'm talking about their feelings. Sorry. And then the kid, their brain just sort of describes everything on its own, which then is going to make it look like their bedroom or their school bus or whatever. And I think poetry is just a great way to bring empathy into books and to let readers like really empathize with characters that might be different from them. Yeah.
Now, you also write some prose, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, can you tell us why would you choose prose for a certain story versus verse?
For me, it's really more about like if it's a plot-driven kind of adventure, like that's going to be something that I do in prose. That's going to have like cliffhangers every chapter, and we're trying to like solve a mystery. But if the character has come to me first, and I'm thinking about like who this person is and what they want to achieve, then that feels much more versy.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
I also think like those are two very different skills, I think. I mean, I know that it's both writing and authoring, but like very different mindset to have to write verse versus prose.
Yeah, choosing different parts of your brain. Yeah.
Yeah, so
do
you see that like you feel that it's almost like exercising, like you're working on verse for a while and then you're like, oh, I gotta work on that right brain now.
Yeah, no, I think it makes me write better verse to take a break from it sometimes and work on prose, and then vice versa.
Yeah, I guess because at that point then one's informing the other a bit.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
cool. Now you brought a book with you here today.
I did.
Yeah, let's talk about this. What's the book that you brought?
All right, this is Jordan J. and the Truth About Jordan J. So I have a series that's called the Kids Under the Stairs series, and there's going to be 4 books for each of the characters. And Jordan J. is the 3rd character, but you don't have to read the other 2 books to read this one. And it's got illustrations in it that I did myself, which are bonkers, and it has video game chats. It's Jordan's this like stream of consciousness kid who he's always asking questions, and he's always just saying whatever comes to him like immediately, so he doesn't really have a filter. The way that he's able to communicate the best is through dancing. And
it's dancing?
Yes, he decides he's going to audition for a TV show that's like So You Think You Can Dance, but it's called Fierce Across America.
Whoa.
And he auditions and doesn't do as well as he thought he was going to do. But they tell him his choreography was amazing. He doesn't even know what choreography is. And so he has to kind of redefine success for himself through the story, which is hard for him because he really thought like he was a dancer. But it turns out he's a choreographer. And it's really funny. This is the funniest book I've ever written.
Yeah, really?
It cracks me up every time. I was just telling a friend of mine, like, I almost don't even care if no one reads it because it just makes me so happy. Like, Jordan is such a real kid to me that I worried about him during the pandemic. Like, when I was writing it, my editor and I would call each other and be like, what is Jordan doing with virtual school? Like, we just forgot he wasn't real. Because he is real.
Also, I love that now you're an illustrator. You can put that on your resume.
Oh man, you know, I was drawing little examples for the designer. Like, here's what I think we can do, and they said, you know, your drawing looks very much like a 7th grade boy. You just do them. And I was like, okay. And it is so hard. Like, Javier is the character who is the guy who does most of the drawing, and his book is next. And I have already missed my deadline because it is so hard to be an artist. The illustrators have the hardest job.
Well, it's also a kind of a new job for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I had forgotten how much I loved art when I was younger, and that I actually won some art contests as a kid. And so it's like muscle memory. It's coming back slowly, just on an iPad, which is weird. There's a part in this book where one of the judges calls Jordan a prodigy.
Ooh.
And he doesn't know what that means. And he tries to look it up, but in his brain, it's prodigy. And so he's looking up prodigy, and he can't find it. And he thinks it must just be this terrible thing. And so finally, he finds the giant dictionary that's like in the library at school, like under a light with real pages. And he's like looking through it. And the librarian helps him spell it right. And he sees what prodigy really means. And the light bulb goes off. Because it's all about learning new ways to define yourself.
This is so great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Now, we're going to play a game here in a little bit.
Okay.
Are you ready to play a game with me?
Oh, I'm always ready for games.
All right, hold on. Let's do some stretching. That's a good idea. Calisthenics.
I'm ready.
All right. So the game we're going to play today is Truth or Dare. Now, which would you like to choose?
I think let's do truth.
Truth. Oh,
Yeah, I like truth.
You know, it's interesting. Like truth or dare. Some people they're like, oh, I'm not very brave, so I'm going to choose truth. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Oh, that's kind of the bravest of all.
that's what I think too. All right. So for truth, let's see. Oh, I got a good one for you. Carrie Ann,
Yes.
have you ever stolen anything?
I've stolen your heart.
Oh, you definitely have.
Well, you know, there was a time when I was a grown-up, and I thought about stealing someone's credit card, which would have been really bad, but it was because my son was sick and his medicine was very expensive and I didn't have enough money to get it and I didn't know what to do. And so I didn't steal it, but I thought of a character, like what would happen if a kid did that? Because like a kid isn't gonna, sometimes a kid just does a thing, right, without thinking about it. And so I was able to write a whole book about a kid who does steal a credit card to buy medicine for his brother. And I don't know, it taught me a new way to write. By not stealing the credit card, I learned that I could write stories about people doing things that I wanted to do but couldn't do, or was afraid to do but didn't do, or what if I did, what would have happened. So I don't know, I think almost stealing something was kind of a gift as a writer and a person.
Carrie Ann, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Goodbye.
Bye.